Welcome back, Alpha Nuts. So this is not my 4C back here. It's my buddy Marty's, like over here.
Hello.
We're going to be doing a completely unnecessary modification, at least in my opinion, is the Alfaworks suspension blocks. And then we're going to have Marty drive it and see what he thinks, do a comparison. So let's get to it. So these are the suspension blocks right here, and here's the very detailed instructions you get with them.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, they're color coded, so it should make it pretty easy. And these things promise to improve the handling, which we're going to find out. And where they go is they just replace these factory blocks that go on the upper and lower control arms. All right, so I wanted to measure these guys so we can kind of get an idea of what they're actually doing. And you can see the measurements here. Upper front is 24 millimeter, upper rear is 20 millimeter, lower front is 28 millimeter, lower rear is 32 millimeter. And then we'll compare those to the factory blocks and see how they compare. Then we can get a kind of an idea of what it is that these suspension blocks are doing to the suspension. The first thing we gotta do is take off the shock absorber. And as you can tell, working in here is kind of tight. The nut side is a 21 and the socket, or the bolt is, no, 21. Yeah, okay. So they're both 21. All right, taking the bolt out of the shock absorber is pretty straightforward. And then once you get it out, you have to pull the shock out away from the body of the car. You can see the body of the car is right there. Kind of just push down on the control arms a little bit, and then you'll be able to get this top of the shock absorber right out. Now we got to get these bolts off. Now, these ones I think are going to be pretty easy to just get a socket on. These are going to be kind of tricky. I don't know. Might have to get like the crow's foot in on the inboard ones. We'll see. So these nuts in here are 17 millimeter, and the outside one's really easy to get on. The inside one's are a little tricky. You can almost get a shallow socket on this one right here. If you kind of push down on like the control arm, you see the control arm kind of moves out of the way, and you can get a shallow socket on there. But the problem is that the stud kind of sticks out too far into the socket to be able to get the wrench on. But I was able to get on it with my deep offset box end, and that one works on this side real well too. So that's what you gotta do. Get yourself another jack and lift up on the ball joint just slightly. Just kind of pick up the control arms, and then they come out nice and easy, just like that. The other side came out too. And then these little factory blocks just slip right off. This one's a little trickier. More stuff to get around. All right, let's go measure these and see how they compare to the Alfaworks ones. All right, so just measured the factory blocks, and they're 24 millimeter, like even, both front and rear. And comparing to the Alfaworks blocks, you see that the rear ones are a little bit shorter. They're 4 millimeters shorter. What that's gonna do is it's actually gonna cause the upper control arm to kind of tilt backwards just a little bit and kind of bring your top ball joint back, and that's going to increase caster, which is kind of what I suspected these guys do, is they just increase caster. And it'll be interesting to see, like when we measure the bottom factory ones, I wonder if they're both going to be like 28 millimeters even, and if it is, with the rear side kicking that out a little bit, that's going to increase that caster just a little bit more. So I mean, it's not a huge change, probably just a couple of degrees, but you know, see what kind of difference it makes. All right, so got the blocks on and have the nuts on there just kind of loosely. We don't want to tighten these down just yet because we still want this thing to be able to move around just a little bit while we're working on the lower. And then we just do the same thing on the lower bolts. Yeah, once you get the nuts off the studs here, the control arms just easily pull back. And your jack might move a little bit, but it's supporting the weight of the knuckle and everything, so it just pulls back nice and easy, and then you can pop the factory blocks right off the studs. Let's go measure these guys and see how they compare to the Alfaworks ones. Yeah, one other thing to note is that you probably have some alignment shims already on the car. You actually want to leave these in place. Don't remove those. You want them to stay right where they are. That way it doesn't actually affect your alignment whenever you put the new blocks on. It just adds to it a little bit. All right, so I measured the factory blocks for the lower control arm, and they're 29.2 millimeters, both front and rear. So yeah, you can see on the Alfaworks blocks, it brings in the front just a little bit and it kicks out the rear. And like I was saying earlier, with the combination of like kicking out the front of the top one, that's going to take your caster angle and move it back a little bit, give you more caster. That's going to increase the self-centering of the steering and increase your steering like heaviness just a little bit too. But it, you know, supposedly it's supposed to take out the messiness of the steering that all the automotive journalists complain about. All right, so the blue goes on the back and the red goes on the front for the Alfaworks blocks. Getting the lower control arm back on was a little tricky. Had to kind of adjust the jack up and down to try to find the sweet spot of how to, you know, get it almost where it's like zero gravity in itself and sliding it back on. But we got it after a little bit of cussing and straining. Now all we need to do is torque these guys back up. I'll double check the spec, but I think it's 42 foot-pounds plus 45 degrees. And I gotta double check the torque spec on the shock up here too. All right, so I got the Alfaworks blocks on the passenger side. Didn't see any point in like going through it again. It's the same on the driver's side. So now we gotta get the wheels back on and see how she drives. Overall, the job was going very smoothly, and I was actually starting to get a little worried because we hadn't had a blood sacrifice yet. But fortunately, right there at the end, I scratched myself, so got that out of the way. Now let's go take this thing for a drive and see how she does. You know, you were backing it out of the garage and you said it had pretty much felt the same already. I mean, there's like no difference, like low speed.
It's always hard to turn the wheels. It's slow like this, but it doesn't feel any harder.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering.
Maybe even is a little bit easier.
Interesting.
I don't know.
You know,
I mean, the steering does feel a little easier.
So even just like the 10 miles an hour, like right here, like you feel
it feels different. Yeah.
Okay. Like a different what way? Like lighter or?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So like we're going like a decent little clip right here, and I can still kind of feel like it following a little bit, right? But not as bad as it used to, or?
It feels like I can feel the road a little better.
Okay. All right.
And it's I'm not fighting it as much.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's about the best way I can put it.
The best way to describe it is you're just not fighting the car as much. Like, you're not feeling it, you know, pulling as much one way or the other.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I can still feel it pulling a little bit, like as a passenger, but you know, I mean, your hands are actually on the wheel, you know, so like you're probably.
Yeah. I'm not having to react to it.
Right.
So much. I think it feels better.
Well, good. All right. That's what everyone says. Everyone says it's a must.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't really think it's a must, but you know, it's personal
You're not
preference.
Convinced. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of like how crazy the handling is of the car. You know, that's one of the things that appeals to me about the car. But.
Yeah. Right now, I'm kind of feeling like I'm really glad that we did this.
Okay.
It took me a while to get used to driving this car when I first got it. You know, just the way that it was tracking and dealing with that, kind of fighting it.
Yeah.
It took a while for me to feel comfortable driving it, and you know, and I did get to the point where I felt comfortable driving it. You know, I think I got used to it.
I know a lot of people, like they when they first get in the car and like the car like first like hits like a big bump and like a tram line's like really hard, and like they think they're gonna go in the ditch, it scares them and whatnot. But just don't be scared. I mean, that's my advice. Like the car's not gonna throw you into the ditch. Like it just moved a little bit, you know.
I haven't felt it do anything like that this time.
Oh, okay.
Since we started driving.
There's some twisty stuff here.
Yeah. Still feeling the road, but it definitely feels a lot better.
Still feeling good, like around the turns, and
yeah, it feels great.
All right.
I'm amazed. I really am.
Alright, so Marty's amazed, so he's gonna let me take a spin in it real quick.
Alright, we have Dano driving.
Yeah, let's see how I like it.
didn't get the ones for the track.
I wonder which ones Art had, because I don't know. Like his car even felt different from this.
Wow.
Because like this feels like the steering feels like way lighter.
I'm convinced.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and you can definitely feel it, like, you know, going in a straight line. It's not like tram lining like it was before.
Yeah.
So, or like how, you know, mine does.
Money well spent.
I still don't know if I'm going to do it to my car or not, but, you know, I don't know. It's I guess I just like the craziness. But, you know, I can like already tell, like you were saying, like I'm not fighting it as much.
Yeah.
You know, like a day of driving the 4C, your arms are tired. You're like noodle arms, you know.
Yeah.
So this definitely makes it so you're not as worn out doing it. Yeah, like the road right here is a little bit rougher than it was just a second ago, and I don't feel like the normal like tram lining that, you know, the 4Cs usually do a lot of. So yeah, it's very obviously made a difference. Yeah. Like normally on a road like this, you wouldn't want to take your hands off the wheel, but yeah, I know, right? But yeah, it's like it's tracking nice and straight. Well, that was a great drive, and look who showed up. It's the Alpha 4C girl. Tell us what you thought.
Oh, I love it.
It's a lot better?
Yes.
Is it better?
When I just take off, I was like, oh my God, I don't even have to have my hands on the wheels.
Right?
Normally, I need to have my hands on the wheel because it will do this, right? Even though low speed. But this one, oh, it's like heaven.
So we gonna do it to your car next?
I think so, because it's kind of like not a 4C anymore. You know, 4C is rough, right?
Right,
this is not rough anymore.
Nice. Yeah.
So I love it. Good job!
All right, thank you. Well, I want to thank Marty for letting me install those Alfaworks blocks on his car. And also thanks to all you for watching. Please hit that thumbs up button for us. And if you aren't already, go ahead and subscribe. Catch you next time.